But there are more money than brains?
Yes, we've done a lot of work to our donor car.
Well, I didn't care about this car before, but kind of do now.
Take a good look in behind. There's something going on there.
Probably there's nothing wrong with it. It's probably just assembled wrong, because that seems to be the theory with this car.
We gotta get Scott to look at his Mustang on his new dyno. It's kind of gross how much money was put into this car to see if it was well worth it. We're in the back stretch of our favorite racetrack, Toronto Motorsports Park.
We don't care what the dyno says. Let's see what it does racing other cars.
Okay. Mustang's back. Aaron's been driving it for a couple weeks. We're gonna head over to the dyno with Scott and Brad and see exactly what this makes. Now, I'm not gonna be brave enough to play with this engine too much because this is our most expensive engine that we own. It's going right into our Bronco anyway, and 450 horse, which is what we think this one is plenty for a smaller wheelbase Bronco that's going to be lifted slightly. We don't need to roll it. It's a fun engine. We don't need to crank every last horsepower out of it, but excited to run the dyno in the first place to see what it does. But a couple things we need to address first. When we showed the cutouts working, there was blue smoke coming from the driver's side. And that's a good thing. As long as it's not coming out of the tailpipes, that's internal. We got an external leak here still. I thought it was the rear main seal. It made sense to look at that while the transmission was out, but we still have a little issue there. So we're going to address that right now. Could be the valve cover gasket. And when I pulled the head off, I can't remember really looking at the valve cover gasket because I realized those tubes were loose. And that was the issue at the time, was the spark plugs were filling up with oil. So right away my brain goes to that. And then I should have looked at the valve cover gasket, but I didn't. So we'll look at that right now. I think that's it. Other than that, it's holding together really well. Aaron's enjoying driving it. When I need to go for a little long drive, then I pick it up and drive it. Fuel mileage isn't that bad. It's not that terrible. It's not as good as the Civic, but it also doesn't have air conditioning and the Civic does. So it's kind of a toss-up. But anyway, let's get into it. Hopefully we find something simple, and then we're off to the races. Here we go.
Nice clean spark plug hole, so the Loctite worked. That's good.
See why Ford left half of these out. This is kind of a pain. So many bolts. Lots of comments about you guys saying it's the bean counters and cutting money. And it's funny how that didn't even really cross my mind. What's worse? Purposely leaving them out or forgetting them. Either way, it's embarrassing, but that's nuts. Look at that. Well, that's good news, because that is exactly what you want to see. I generally don't think it's the valve cover gasket. It's always something more serious, but that would do it. It's a good night. This says for sale on eBay, $40 plus ship. All right, good thing we got our Mali gasket kit from Rock Auto made it. We're all set. Nice. Here we go. 89 inch-pounds. Here we go. Alright, one last thing on the Mustang, and that's replacing the hood shocks. I grabbed a kind of universal fit from Princess Auto. Hope they're the right size. If not, their return policy is pretty freaking awesome. So, as much as I'd like to say that the project is done, I think we're gonna pop the hood a lot more on this thing. Plan is to go to Ford Fest with it, and can't really have a broomstick holding the hood up at Ford Fest. So we'll throw these on and keep carrying on. Here we go. All right, I know we said valve cover leak and then we're going to Niagara Dyno. Unfortunately, we're back at the shop because we got to get Scott to look at his Mustang on his new dyno. That was really cheesy. Scott and his partner Brad went out and bought a dyno. So they actually made a whole section of the shop just their dyno room. So Brad's tying the Mustang down. And again, I'm just kind of seeing what the stock is. We'll introduce Brad to the Holly and then we'll see. I don't think we're gonna tune a whole lot. It's getting late too, and the neighbors, they want to stay friends with the neighbors. None of these cars are friendly neighbor cars. looking. So it was steady at 12.5, which is what it's programmed to do. So.
That first run, you stopped it pretty short.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest, you're still climbing, right? Everything's pretty consistent all the way up.
Yeah.
The differences are up top, depending on when you let off.
Right.
It doesn't do squat. That's loud, yeah.
As long as your brakes aren't dragging or anything,
Yeah.
do a negative rundown test, and that'll tell us your parasitic drivetrain loss.
Okay.
It'll take those two numbers, put it together, and give you your engine horsepower.
Okay. All right.
But it can be manipulated if anything is helping slow the car down, like a dragging brake. or
Right,
anything.
right,
They
right.
will artificially make that loss higher.
Okay.
And then tell you the engine output is higher.
Right, right, right.
You pretty much redline in fourth gear.
Okay.
You give me the thumbs up, I'll give you this, and all you do is push the clutch in and let it roll all the way down under its own with the clutch in. We'll do that 2 times.
So now we're trying to figure out the parasitic loss in the car. So now I'm revving it up to full throttle and then hitting the clutch, and the machine is slowing the car down. And then it's figuring out what the loss is through the drivetrain. Right now it's saying we lost 80 horse through the drivetrain because either a brake is sticking or drive shaft is tight, or I don't know.
There's your 3 closest runs. That's rear wheel. 362, 360, 363.
Yeah.
So now we'll take that close down run and add it together. And that's where it thinks your engine horsepower is. Well,
Yeah, that's right where we're supposed to be. Yeah. Yeah. That's calculated engine horsepower with our loss.
based off of the measured loss.
Right. I'm super happy with that because that's what a brand new one's supposed to be putting out. Why we came today and to check out the cutouts, and the cutouts did nothing.
Yeah, the Miles exhaust is really doing what it should be doing.
Yeah, so that's awesome that you're getting the same horsepower. Well, it's 3-inch dual exhaust, so you can't really ask for a whole lot more. But like I said, we're not here to tune it because I don't know what I'm doing, and you're awesome with carburetors.
I try to be.
Yeah. You don't know much about EFI, I don't know much about carbureting, so it'd be nice to hang out and learn some, but it's kind of like welding, it's helmet time. It's not that you're gonna jump in and watch some videos and know how to do it. It's basically just seat time trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. Pretty cool. Niagara Dyno, you're in Scott's building, but you're open for business?
Yeah, if you'd like to get a hold of us, Facebook, Instagram, with the message button there, and we'll get back to you right away.
So, nice quick video just to show off the dyno and the car. We're happy with it. We're still sorting it out a little bit here and there, but fun little car for the summer. So, yeah, here we go. All right, so dyno didn't go 100% as planned, but 80 horsepower loss through the drivetrain means that at 360 to the wheels, we've got 440 to the crank. And that's all we honestly care about. Now, if you're just tuning into this, you have no idea what this Mustang is. We bought this thing just crossing our fingers that it was a healthy Coyote that we're gonna swap into an 84 Bronco. We'll be grabbing that one nice clean, doing kind of a restoration on that, and having a really nice, cool, old truck. Now, this car, somebody sank a lot of money into it. Now, this is not the way I would have built this project. The Mustang is a great, simple car. This was an 05 V6. It's got a solid rear axle, and it's just a simple car, but it's not a great car. So for the sake of simplicity, so you can look up these parts if you want, we'll say the American parts, but keep in mind that anybody in Canada would have paid roughly double for that. Canada does not manufacture any parts, so we have to ship all of our parts from the United States. 6-piston Brembos, 4,800 bucks. The rims and tires would have been about $2 grand. The crate engine would have been about 13 grand off of Ford Racing. That's got intake, clutch, transmission, tower bar, the wiring harness from Holly, along with the 12-inch Pro dash. And then we've got exhaust, suspension. Our engine builder is taking this car and he pulled in a favor on his side, and we got a stellar deal on painting it. When we pull the Coyote out and put it in the Bronco, he will put a blown V10 in here with a really good transmission behind that. So this car is going to live on, which is why we spent quite a bit of time trying to make it look good. Somebody sank a lot of money into this car. Like, maybe you're in the same situation. A rich uncle just died. You tripped over a bag of money while jogging in the woods. I don't know. You don't want any of that traceable, so you blow it on a pile of expensive parts on a straight axle 05 Mustang. Then we're also talking tune-up, alignment, safety, and the insurance on this thing is roughly $300 a month. All right, now that's a lot of money for an 05 Mustang. But you could take the same amount of money and straight out of the box buy something like a 66 Chevelle. Numbers matching engine with a 5-speed, disc brakes in the front, drum on the back. He bought it for $40,000, as is, didn't touch it, turnkey, and gets to enjoy that every day. But that's only if your time is absolutely worthless, because I've got weeks and weeks and weeks into that Mustang. If you counted your time, you could buy something like this right out of the box. 2020 Mustang with a 5.0 already in it, and this one, Canadian, is about 55 grand all said and done. All right, so this is Brett. Have you ever done any drag racing?
A little bit.
A little bit, okay.
10 years.
Because we've got nothing, but Coyote?
Coyote Gen 3, 460 to the crank is what they rate them at, so 400 to 410 to the wheel. 10-speed auto. It has a tranny tune on it. They basically flashed it to give it a 25% more slip, because these cars are notorious for either just spinning or bogging.
So 55 grand does get you an IRS rear end, whereas mine still has the technology from good old Henry Ford, which he put into the Model Ts. A solid truck axle and an open diff. They're getting there, they're catching up. So, comparatively, these three are all kind of in the same range. So the only way to find out which one is worth it, or is the best, is to just do a good old-fashioned drag race. We have no idea how long our drag strip is. I can see the cones. We're in the back stretch of our favorite racetrack, Toronto Motorsports Park, but it's very scientific in the fact we have a flag and a drone to see who is actually the fastest and which is the best car. Here we go. No, it doesn't stall, it just bucks. Like it just dies, right? So I need to rev it up and then pop the clutch. Okay. So, all right, I think I got it.
You want to train?
I kinda.
year, I'll kick both their asses. I'll tune her up, put more horsepower. All right. See you guys later.
Okay, so the Chevelle was getting a little hot. Best 2 out of 3. He did beat me at the last one, but he decided to go home before we do any damage because that's just a nice cruiser car. We don't really need to beat on that or prove anything. It's a beautiful car and gets the right attention anyway. So we've got 40,000, 40,000, 55,000. That got us thinking, what could we do with like a nice German engineered car for about 30 grand? So we got a 2016 Audi S3. And this is the only turboed car here, but this is only a 4-banger. So thanks to Hamilton Audi, we got to try this out and see what this does. 50,000 kilometers on it. It's got heated everything, pop-up navigation, automatic, all-wheel drive. It'd be interesting to see which one wins and which one we would want to take home at the end. So the only thing left to do is drive. Here we go. So I've never driven this car like this before, and it seems, I don't know whether it's a tune or not enough fuel pressure or what, but it seems to bog in first gear bad. So I got to keep an eye, I got to put it up to like 3 grand and then watch the flag drop, and then I'm okay, I hold my own. Every shift I go farther behind. Hoogie, what happened?
You can't get the revs up or anything in this car.
I think there is launch control somehow. 86. All right, to launch control. With the engine running, press the traction off. Okay, pull the selector lever back out of the DS position or press it towards the right, okay?
Okay.
Press the brake pedal firmly with your left foot and hit the gas when I'm out of the car. They both got me. This is embarrassing. It's a lot of money into an 05 that I don't think is justified. One more time. Oh, we'll get it. We'll get it. We finally figured out launch control on the Audi, and that little 4-banger's holding its own pretty good. I took off in second, which I shouldn't do because it's bogging down. So I'll go back in first, even if I break loose. But yeah, here we go.
I've never drag raced before, ever.
I drag raced twice in my truck and did a solid 16.9 both times.
That's solid. Solid.
I think it's a 6,000 pound truck. But final question, which one would you take home?
I don't want to give this one back. I really don't.
If I got, like doctor said, you got 3 months to live, I'd probably take that and just keep the exhaust open and piss everybody off and do burnouts, smoke everywhere, leak oil everywhere, and have fun with it. But if I was gonna live longer than 3 months, I would never do that car. I would go straight and buy that one. That is a nice car. Brett, you did beat him by like a solid second.
Yeah, it definitely took him, but I would have to agree with you. I would take the loud and obnoxious. I know, you build it from the ground up and it's yours, right?
I don't know why somebody would have put like $8,000 brakes on it to have a solid rear axle. Like that's drag car.
Yeah.
And then you add like 30 pounds on each corner.
You're setting it up for track when it doesn't want to go around
not
corners.
A track car. Thanks to Toronto Motorsports Park for letting us kind of goof off on the track here. Check out them for their open lapping and their quarter mile. Everything's open again. And definitely comment down below as to which car you would take home. And you guys ride that home because I'm picking the Audi. Here we go. I almost
You! You almost had me! You never had me!